Good morning. Happy Tuesday on this beautiful day. We got rain last night. That is just the craziest thing. About 8:30, 9 o'clock or so, it just started raining, and it was quite a rain. It was amazing. I was not expecting that at all. I don't know if you got rain last night, but I mean, it kind of looked. I mean, they said no rain this whole week, right? And all of a sudden, we're like, this could be rain, and sure enough, it was. Oh, it was beautiful this morning. Just an absolute beautiful morning. Hope you enjoyed the day. Hey, thanks for joining me today. Appreciate it. And I pray God's richest blessings on your day. I have to apologize for yesterday. We did kind of go down a rabbit hole. Won't do that again. Won't even talk about it today. But just wanted to kind of share some information that had kind of been on my heart about COVID and about vaccinations and all that sort of thing. So don't even know if it was helpful, but it was helpful for me because I had to kind of think about it. Anyway, so birthdays today. We have no birthdays today, and we are meeting every day this week, and we are studying the book of Exodus. And I don't know if I really have any other things to say other than that. So I say let's just go. I mean, I know it's kind of early, but let's just go ahead and get into our study. So we are in episode 46, finally, of Exodus, God's Great Rescue. And we are, just to kind of refresh your memory, we're at the bottom of Mount Sinai, and God is telling Moses all these things. If you remember, God gave Moses the 10 Commandments, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then the question is, Moses, who had been a judge, remember, Moses, before God gave Moses the 10 Commandments, he was judging all these different things of the Israelite community. His father-in-law, Jethro, comes to him and says, Moses, you can't do this. You're going to just die. You've got to stop, and you've got to come up with some standards and some rules, and you've got to give that to other people to kind of let them do this judging thing. So Moses says, fine. He talks to God. God gives him the 10 Commandments, and those are the sacrosanct 10 Commandments. And then I envision Moses saying, okay, this is something I dealt with. How would you deal with this? And so Moses and God are having a conversation about how to apply the 10 Commandments in their particular, it's like case law. Like we have the Constitution of the United States, which is, you don't change that very often. And then that goes to all the courts and everything, and they get interpreted through each judge, and you start developing case law. And so now you have, in the United States, you've got incredible case law. Thousands and thousands and thousands of legal cases that have been decided by judges and then those get applied to a new case that comes up because every case is unique and different. You have to apply the standard to each case individually, and then you develop case law. So that's what Moses and God are talking about, or case law. God is telling Moses, these are the things I would, this is how you apply the 10 Commandments in your particular situation. And then Jesus comes along, of course, and reapplies the case law, because by the time Jesus comes around, the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the leaders are just so, they are not understanding that sometimes case law might have to change as the things in the society change. And so you can either apply them strictly, this is the way we've always done it for thousands of years, or you can say, well, that situation has changed a little bit, so let's go back and modify the case law. Jesus did modify the case law quite a bit. And it wasn't in a way that loosened the standard. It was actually expanded the standard. Jesus says, just saying something mean to somebody is actually breaking God's law. So we're going to get into some really strange case law today, which is personal injury, which you wouldn't think about back then. There were no personal injury lawyers, but this is, we're going to go ahead and start reading Exodus chapter 21, beginning at verse 12, and see where it leads us. Anyone who strikes a person with a fatal blow is to be put to death. That makes sense. However, if it is not done intentionally, but God lets it happen, they are to flee to a place I will designate. But if anyone schemes and kills somebody deliberately, that person is to be taken from my altar and put to death. All right, so this is, I think, still in our case law today. we have first degree murder, second degree murder, third degree murder, and we have manslaughter, right? What's manslaughter? Manslaughter is like, this was an accident. I did not mean for my cart to fall over and pin somebody to the ground where they died. That was totally unintentional. I didn't mean to do it. I'm sorry that he's dead, and I know that that brings a tremendous amount of pain to the family. He was the breadwinner of the family. But it was not my intent. It was completely an accident. And so God makes allowances for this. I mean, if it's not done intentionally, and you're allowed to, then they flee to a place. There still has to be some sort of punishment. There's a death. There has to be some sort of punishment. There has to be some sort of retribution. God's saying, well, we'll make a place, and you have to flee, and you have to go to that place. Remember, this is Moses and God talking. But if it's a deliberate, if someone schemes and kills and puts to someone to death, my goodness, that is first degree murder. That's exactly what our definition of first degree murder is. You scheme, you plot, you do it, you kill. And if that one's found out, then you should be put to death, because that is first degree murder. So even in Exodus, it can see, there's a little bit of flexibility, because the rule, the standard, do not kill, is a great standard in its thought, in its concept. But when you start to apply that situation to every situation that may come up in your community, you have to kind of start developing case law. And that's what Moses and God are doing here. I think it's good to have different levels of murder, because obviously, if it's an intentional murder, that's one thing. If it's a murder of passion, that's another thing. If it's a murder of accident, that's another thing. If it's a murder where, why would anybody, like, let's look at the last murders here we go. The people that are, apparently in Chicago, there were 10 murders over the weekend or something like that. And it was gang-related murders. And so you have these gangs that are going out and they're shooting innocent people on the street. And you say, this is horrible. Those people should be put to death. But what if, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, and you were representing these people that have committed this murder. And what if those people, their mom and dad didn't exist, or maybe their mom and dad are high on fentanyl or something like that. The kid becomes a street kid, hooks up with the gang, wants to be part of a family or a tribe that's going to love them and care for them. And the gang is actually the one that's telling him, okay, you've got to go out and prove that you are loyal to the gang more than anything else. We want you to go out and we want you to take somebody's life. And I think this actually does happen in the real world. I think this is a real world situation. Then the question is, who's to blame for that? Because indoctrination is a pretty powerful force. You could even brainwash somebody to believe that by killing somebody is actually good. So then who's to blame for there? Is it the person who actually pulled the trigger? Or is it somebody that brainwashed? Or is it the tribe? Or if it's a community where there's starting to be anarchy and the tribe is actually providing some level of control because government has failed, is it government's fault, or is it the tribe's fault? Is it the person that pulled the trigger's fault? Each one of these are just so complicated. It's just very easy for me sitting in my chair here listening, and there was a murder, and my first reaction is, well, that person should be found, they should be executed, they should be set as an example so that nobody does that again. But it's not so easy. It really truly isn't as easy as that. I wish it were. The one side of my brain says you should never ever take somebody else's life, but that I believe is true. But what happens when you have these unusual situations where you have people that just get caught up in a system that they have no control over, and all of us get caught up in systems that we know we don't have control over. How many of us get passionate about things that are going on in the world around us, and we only see it from our side? Like if there's a war, if the United States decides to go to war against a country, the people that are controlling the information tell you why we're going to go into war, but it's probably not as clear cut and as easy as just simply, this event happened or whatever, and we should go to war. I mean, anytime we go to war, and this is, I understand we're bombing now, Al-Shabaab over there in Iran or Afghanistan, one of those places. We're bombing right now as I speak to try to get rid of a little tribe. Well, every time you pull the trigger and drop a bomb, somebody is dying because of that. And we have to trust as a nation that the people that are making the decision to kill another life is actually responsible, making the right decision, making sure that this person actually is making the world a better place for all of us, a safer place for all of us. And those decisions are not always so clean cut and black and white. And my heart goes out, it truly does. Anytime we as a nation kill another person, my heart goes out to, the spouses and the children, whoever that person, the community that surrounds that person, that's going to lose that person and mourn the death of that person. Because I have lost somebody, I've lost people in my life that I love very, very much and mourned their death. And I know what that feels like, and I know how horrible that is. Anyway, I'm going down a rabbit hole here, but anytime somebody dies, somebody at some level should investigate, why did this person die? Was it a righteous, how do I say this? Is it first degree murder, second degree, third degree, or manslaughter? And Moses is starting to play into this right now. He's starting to develop case law, and so we can see, even in our system today, we have elements of this, which I think is so cool, right? Like the rabbit hole, the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. If you go back to Hebrew language, you'll see A, B, C, D. I mean, there's overlap there. It's pretty incredible. All right, so let's just continue reading verse 15. Anyone who attacks their father or mother is to be put to death. Oh my goodness. Now, that, my friends, is an interesting thing. It's not I killed my mother and father, but I attacked my mother and father. So which commandment is this? Is this the commandment, thou shalt not kill? No, because it doesn't say that it attacked them and killed them. It's just that it attacked them. Is this not honoring your father and mother? Okay, so the commandment, honor your father and mother so that it may go well with you in the land. When we talked about that earlier, we said you should honor your father and mother because it's your connection to history, it's your connection to to your gene pool, your tribe, and all that sort of thing. So you should obey your mother and father because it just goes well with you. But the way Moses is like, who attacks father and mother is to be put to death. So it has to be, at some level, this person attacking mother and father probably is either the commandment to obey your mother and father, or it's the commandment to thou shall not kill. It's kind of like a commandment to not commit violence, but it's more than that because it's those people should be put to death. Here's kind of what I think it is. I think it is a person who, for whatever reason, can't live in that tribe. The mother and father, maybe this is a disciplinary thing. If mom and dad tell their children, do not attack me because Moses said, if you attack me, we can put you to death. That is a lot of fear that parents can use to try to bring discipline into their children's lives. They may never, ever do this. And of course, I don't know of any place in the Bible where it actually says that someone attacked their mother and father, and because of this, they were put to death. This could be one of those laws that gets put on the books just to make sure that nobody ever attacks their mother and father. And that may have never, ever, ever happened. I don't know. I just don't know. But it's a great I mean, you can imagine that there's probably not discipline problems in Israel because of this law. Oh my goodness. But the other thing is that, and we'll get into this, a lot of times there's these punishments, but you can actually pay an amount of money to get out of this punishment. So, if you attack us, we're going to put you to death. And that works until they attack mom and dad. And then they go to the judge, and the judge says, well, we could put you to death, but instead we're going to say that you have to serve your mother and father as an indentured servant for a period of 1 year or something like that to atone for the fact that you killed your mother and father. And remember, this is case law. This isn't 10 Commandment stuff. And so this is providing some guidance to people who are going to be making and judging these things. Remember, Moses is doing this now. He's already have people that he's kind of training, that they're going to take over this case law. But then there has to be an ultimate authority, which is Moses. But when they get in the promised land, I mean, one of the things that the tribe needs is people to judge this. And so then they have the period of the judges who are wise people that judge this thing. And then they turn it into a king, and then the king judges these things. King is an administrator and a judge. It's just as the natural progression of the society. All right. So anyone who attacks their mother or father is put to death. I don't know if that ever happened. And I never have attacked my mother or father. I don't know of anybody who attacked their mother and father. That's, that would be something. That would be something that would happen, later in life, like a kid, like a 5-year-old or 6-year-old that just emotionally doesn't, lashes out to mom and dad. I don't think that's this. I think this is an older adult, maybe, older adult type, little kids, little problems, big kids, big problems, right? That's what Jennifer's mother used to always say. Little kids, little problems, big kids, big problems. This is a big kid problem, okay? You don't put somebody to death because of a little kid problem. This is a big kid problem. Probably an older adult that just, having an argument with mom and dad, but you still should obey your mom and dad. It doesn't have an age limit on that. Let's go on with age 16. Anyone who kidnaps someone is to be put to death, whether the victim has been sold or is still in the kidnapper's possession. That's interesting. You should not take for a slave somebody else. So all the slave trade that's going on today, the sex trafficking that's going on today, all of this is completely forbidden for a very long time. Why? Because you're taking somebody's life. So this to me is probably, thou shalt not kill type of stuff. I think this ties back into the thou shalt not kill. Because when you kidnap somebody, at some level, you're killing them. So they should be put to death. Whether or not the victim was sold. So you could, obviously you can infer from this that there were people, marauders, that would go out, kidnap people, sell them into slavery, and then take the profits. Which is exactly what happened to the U.S. slave trade at the early founding of this country. They would go over, they would kidnap people, they would come back and sell them for a profit. And if the people, if the church, if the legal system had understood this verse right here and how it applies to that situation, they would have completely opened up their minds as that this is not a proper thing to do. That's a whole nother story. We'll do one more. Verse 17. Anyone who curses their father or mother is to be put to death. Wow. So this one's pretty severe too. I kind of think that one goes attacking your mother or father. So if you attack your mother or father, or if you curse your mother or father, you be put to death. These are probably had never been applied in Israel history. Maybe not. It depends upon. We have this, I'll just do this one digression. We have this kind of belief here in the United States that children belong to their parents. The parents are raising the children until they get to the place where they're adults and they can take care of themselves. I think that in the United States today, it's probably age 18, but earlier it may have been, right at puberty or something like that. So we have this, and I believe it's still in our system, that parents have a pretty wide range of things that they can do to try to discipline and raise their children. I think I've told this story before, but my grandfather was apparently really, really beat mercilessly by his own father as a disciplinary measure. That's kind of how it was done. This would have been, my grandfather was born in 1905, so this would have been the early part of the 20th century. That was standard. Today, it is not standard for parents to spank or to, well, certainly not to beat their children senseless. That for sure. Where it may have been acceptable 100 years ago, it's not acceptable today. And I'm not even sure corporal punishment like spanking children is even acceptable punishment today. At some level, I do wonder because I was spanked when I was a kid, and it did not seem to cause me a great deal of long-term damage. But that was me. And my father and mother were very gentle when they spanked me. My father would, first of all, it wasn't in front of the other children. It was always went to a different room. Second, he would always say, I'm going to spank you, but I still love you. And then third, he would take off the bait and spank me. And I have no idea if it hurt on my bottom or if it was just the thought that I had disappointed my parents and that they were spanking me. I mean, I don't know because it was such a long time ago. I think it hurt, but it didn't hurt for a long time. And that was, I never ever felt as if my parents didn't love me when they did that. I felt like it was punishment for things that I had done, and it was pretty serious what I had done. And so one of the things that I see in our society today is like, how do you get a child's attention? Because I don't think spanking is appropriate today. I don't think that any professor of family life and dynamics would ever say that in today's world, I don't think any of the psychologists, psychiatrists, doctors, that spanking is okay. But at some level, you have to get the child's attention. It can't be something that's fun or flippant or something that, if you're not going to spank them, and you don't want to do psychological damage either. I mean, that was the great thing about spanking, right? Is that, it was an external act that didn't create psychological damage. And I do worry about parents today. If they can't spank, are they doing things that have psychological damage to their children, which in my opinion is even worse than spanking. So, the one that's popular today is, timeout. Is timeout really, is it getting the child's attention? I mean, and these are things that, we as a society have to struggle with. So this one, don't attack your father and mother and don't curse your father and mother. I don't know if they ever happened, but I think it's really, really, really good to have on the books back then so that parents can point to it and say, you better obey me and you better not curse me and you better not attack me. I'm your father, I'm your mother, you obey me because we have complete power and control over you. And today, we do not let parents kill their children. They're just not appropriate. Although, in some places around the world, it is probably acceptable for that to happen. Even today, there probably are tribes or groups of people where it might be that they do kill a child to set an example for the tribe of why you should not curse your mother and father and why you should not attack your mother and father. So that is pretty interesting. Each tribe has to have their own set of standards of how they're going to live. Anyway, so I think we're going to end it there. This is personal injuries. If we get to the next step, it's going to be about quarreling. So we'll get into that in the next episode, and I'll try to get through the rest of them a little bit quicker. But I just wanted to make sure that you understand that just because a law is on the books doesn't necessarily mean that it was always applied. And it also doesn't necessarily mean that there wasn't some way to get around it if a person repented, paid money, did something to get around some of these laws. These are case laws, and each case law is unique in and of itself. All right, so we'll kind of go through these a little bit quicker when we go into the next episode. But let's go ahead and close in prayer. Gracious God, thank you for this time to understand how we can apply the Ten Commandments, or at least how they applied it back then. But Lord, help us always to follow you, to follow your law, so that we can live lives that are pleasing to you. Be with us until we meet again. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, so that's going to end it for today. I really, this is really interesting. I really hope you have a great day. Stay a little bit cool. I think it's going to be hot out there. But we will meet again tomorrow, and we'll see you then. Take care.